latest on former President Trump's New York criminal trial as closing arguments are set to begin today.
And President Biden reportedly ready to break his silence on the case. Brooke Singman here with all the details. Hey, Brooke.
Hey, guys. Yeah, we are now in the final stretch of the historic criminal trial that started 6 weeks ago. Judge Juan Merchan says he expects closing arguments to last all day and possibly go into tomorrow. Then he'll instruct the jury on the law before sending them off to deliberate. The defense will deliver their closing arguments first, followed by the prosecution. Now, this is the reverse order of opening statements, and former President Trump says that's unfair. Quote, why is the corrupt government allowed to make the final argument in the case against me? Why can't the defense go last? Big advantage, very unfair. Now, during the trial, the prosecution called a total of 20 witnesses to the stand, including former Trump attorney Michael Cohen, adult film actress Stormy Daniels, former Trump aide Hope Hicks, and former tabloid publisher David Pecker. Meanwhile, the defense only called 2 witnesses. That was former Cohen advisor and attorney Robert Costello and a legal analyst who testified about phone calls between Costello and Cohen. Trump did not take the stand in his own defense. And President Biden will reportedly break his silence on the trial after a verdict is reached by making an address from the White House. Biden's team is reportedly planning a wave of attacks against Trump if the case is acquitted or if there is a hung jury. The former president is facing 34 counts of falsifying business records. He has pleaded not guilty.
Huh? Something on your mind?
Just want to let you know you're sitting in my chair.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, it's a fact.
Well, for a man that don't go healed, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you?
No need to go heal to get the bulge on a tub like you.
Well, I'm real scared.
Damn right you're scared. Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Listen, mister, I'm getting awful tired of your...
I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work. I said throw down, boy. Oh! You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed? No?
What many of you may not know is that Sweet Jerry is a man who does live in the Old West. And Jerry, the meme master of this program, lives in Cowboy Town, and so I think maybe a Western theme this whole week, Jerry. Can we make it? That's Tombstone, right? Like, let's make it Western theme. Donald Trump against the man, the sheriff, coming to town to clean up as Donald Trump is doing today. Today, closing arguments. We may be done with this trial today, Tuesday, May 28th, 2024. Report. President Biden is going to have a live White House announcement after the verdict, because of course none of this is political. This is just the clear-eyed justice system at work. Okay, Robert De Niro just had an unhinged psychotic meltdown, suffered a mental breakdown in front of the Trump trial. We'll play that clip for you. It is hysterical. And Congressman Wesley Hunt joins the program. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. So, breaking news really fast this morning. Incredible stuff. Donald Trump speaking, then Biden having a press conference with a bunch of degenerates outside of the courthouse, then Team Trump sounding off right across the street. Man, if there's ever a day where we maybe should have been broadcasting live from in front of the courthouse, today was the day. It's like, talk about Old West. They're like lining up their teams ready to duel, and then Donald Trump sounding off on Truth Social. We'll cover all of it in breaking news environments. Make sure you're using Patriot Mobile. Make sure that you are connected and tuned in and locked in on the most dependable nationwide cell service and data coverage that is available, that also does not fund the left and supports free speech and has your values. Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny, patriotmobile.com/Benny, or call 972-PATRIOT. Get free activation today with the offer code Benny. Join me and make the switch today. patriotmobile.com/Benny. Jerry, what do you think? We're going to do Western memes? You're going to do Western memes all week? I love that. That's a good one. This is high noon this week in New York City. The closing arguments are happening right now in front of the court. But the arguments that are the most interesting are actually happening outside of the court. Now, here's a couple things on the closing arguments here for this case. Juan Merchan has ruled over this courtroom like a dictator. This guy is like an absolute tin pot North Korean style dictator. He is ordering what types of law are to be discussed. He's not allowing experts to testify. He has completely rigged this trial the best that he can to make sure that his daughter gets paid. His daughter, who fundraises hundreds of millions of dollars for Democrats in order to get Trump, he's trying to effectively rig it for his family. This is the worst conceivable case of judicial corruption in American history. And most importantly, nobody has defined what laws were broken. No one. No one has enumerated what the laws were. What laws were potentially broken by Donald Trump allegedly having an affair in 2005, and then his lawyer paying off a nuisance claim in 2017, which both parties agreed didn't happen, and which are outside of the boundaries of which you could charge such a thing. So they have to then undergird it, turn it into a felony. The FBI declined to prosecute. The DOJ declined to prosecute. The FEC declined to prosecute. And now Joe Biden is sending his top bulldogs from inside the DOJ into Alvin Bragg's office to try and bootstrap this thing into a felony. Again, it defies human logic. You literally do have to live inside of a psychotic breakdown world, and we're going to demonstrate that for you in just a moment. Because Robert De Niro just had a psychotic break live on TV. But before we play that, and it is hilarity, we'll probably do the longest salt that lib in the history of this program, because we're going to play you the Joe Biden defense. If this wasn't political, then why the hell is Joe Biden sending a bunch of goofball, low testosterone degenerates, surrogates, to stand outside of the Trump trial and to talk about Donald Trump? To have like crying, seething meltdowns about Donald Trump, about Orange Man Bad. It is the longest Orange Man Bad adult diaper festival that you've ever seen. You'll never see anything like it. You'll never see anything like it. It's the saltiest salt that has ever flowed. But first, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, speaking after a monumental weekend, doing record views on Timcast, going to NASCAR races, the Coca-Cola 500, Donald Trump waving the checkered flag and doing announcements at NASCAR races, greeted like a conquering hero. Donald Trump rip-roaring in the polls, actually gaining on Joe Biden and gaining on the national averages. Donald Trump now winning 7 out of 7 swing states. It's all backfiring, and so now the panic has set in. And if a single juror, which you should pray, we pray, we believe in the power of prayer on this program. You should pray for a single juror to just say, no, I'm not going to convict an innocent man. I'm not going to have that on my soul. You should pray for that in this trial. Because if you get one juror, then like Donald Trump then becomes the most acquitted man in American history. There's going to be a ticker tape parade for him down Madison Avenue. He'll be holding up a newspaper, most acquitted man in American history, and he's going to be sitting in the back of a convertible. It's going to be beautiful. It's gonna be DEVE day all over again. Then he's gonna kiss Melania at the very end of the parade route, like the sailor, right, and the nurse. It's gonna be beautiful. Hey, welcome back, Pax Americana, once more, ladies and gentlemen. Your president of the United States, as ever on this program. We play Donald Trump without interruption. Let's let the president speak. They've gagged him, so we'll do our very best to allow Donald Trump to have a voice. Here we go.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Make no mistake about it. I'm here because of crooked Joe Biden. The worst president in the history of our country is destroying our country. This country is being destroyed rapidly, not slowly, rapidly. On the borders, on energy, on inflation, on everything you can name. Afghanistan removal, everything about what he's done. He's destroying our country. And he's also destroying it with weaponization. And this is purely his weaponization. See who's in the courtroom. You go just see who's in the courtroom. You'll see. and you'll see where they come from. And if you report it accurately, a lot of people are going to be very upset. But this is all election hunting, election interfering. It's going after Joe Biden's political opponent because he can't do it himself, and they're helping out. And we have a judge who's highly conflicted. He happens to be corrupt. It's the worst confliction. It's the worst that anybody's seen. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. There can't even be the prospect of an impropriety, and it's a shame. Wall Street Journal editorial report today, Alvin Bragg hasn't proved his case in the Trump trial. The evidence shows why the charges should never have been brought. After 20 days in court and a trial transcript of 4,000 pages, the missing piece is still the missing piece. There is no crime. Wall Street Journal. Jonathan Turley, a classic closing pitch by the lawyers is to use a physical object like a three-legged stool. If any three-legged stool is missing and any leg is missing, the stool absolutely collapses. Even a cursory review of the evidence shows that this case does not have a leg to stand on. This is a case without a leg to stand on. This is Jonathan Turley. The case against Trump should end in a very strong not guilty. Not guilty. I don't know these people, but they're great legal scholars. Greg Jarrett, every defendant has the fundamental right to be informed of the nature of the cause of the accusation against him, but Bragg never abided by that constitutional guarantee. Even worse, Merchan let him get away with it. He let Bragg get away with it, a trial that Bragg didn't want to put. And he should have done it 7 years ago if they were going to do it. They should have brought this case 7 years ago, not in the middle of my presidential election, where I'm leading by a lot, Biden by a lot. They brought it right in the middle of the election. Hopefully it doesn't work out for them. The same way allowed the local court to be misused to enforce a federal law over which he has no authority or jurisdiction. They have a federal law which they're using, but they have absolutely no authority. And under the federal law, I did nothing wrong. Andy McCarthy, former FEC Commissioner Bradley Smith, who's the expert that they wouldn't allow me to use, the #1 in the country. FEC Commissioner Bradley Smith's testimony would have established that Trump cannot have willfully violated FECA, that's Federal Election Campaign Act, because NDAs are not campaign expenditures. You know, there's nothing wrong with an NDA. They're signed all the time by many, many companies. They sign them literally on an hourly basis. Because NDAs cannot have, and then it says Trump did not have a FECA legal duty with respect to them. He could not have intentionally flouted the known legal duty. In other words, he's innocent. Mark Levin, same thing. The Bragg case is about lawfare run amok against a former president running again for president. It also represents the greatest effort to interfere with and steal an election. Donald Trump did nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. This is everybody saying it. Except we have a judge who's corrupt. We have a judge who's conflicted. You know what the conflict is. So do I, but I can't say it because I'm under a gag order, which is another unconstitutional thing. You ever hear of a president, leading candidate, leading Biden, leading everybody, and have a gag order? I'm not allowed to speak. It's a first. No president has not been allowed to speak. But this is it. Read the cover today of the New York Post. Read all the stories in the New York Post. Everybody says this is crazy. This is not the trial that should happen. It's a very sad day. This is a dark day in America. We have a rigged court case that should have never been brought, and it should have been brought in another jurisdiction. As you know, we asked for that, and the judge never allows us anything. And just to end, we had an election expert who was going to say everything was perfect. Where the FEC did nothing, it was fine. And we had a lot of other people. I could give you a list of 40 people that would say the exact same thing as these people said. So thank you all very much. We'll see how it goes. This is a very dangerous day for America. It's a very sad day. Thank you.
Were you worried about a conviction?
How, in your right mind, do you look at the facts of this trial, as we have been talking about almost exclusively for like the last 2.5 months? Brought on every single expert, every single lawyer, every single attorney, Some people who are not big time MAGA, right? Some people, like giving platforms to Andy McCarthy is a good example, or various legal experts on CNN or MSNBC, who you can trust as a matter of fact, are not going to be putting on a red hat and voting this November. And universally, the responses are twofold, and it goes in order like this. One, where the hell is the crime? Nobody's been able to establish what the crime is. This is a little hard. I'm not a lawyer, right? But this is how it's been explained to me by some of the greats like Mike Davis. Like the statute of limitations has run out on the bookkeeping error. There are no ways that you can charge Donald Trump for the bookkeeping error. If that's the biggest crime you can find, that's just a small punitive business charge. There is no crime there. In order to bring this case, you have to bootstrap that into a felony by proving a larger underlying criminal conspiracy. Yet the only thing the prosecution has been able to prove is that Stormy Daniels speaks to spirits, that Michael Cohen is a dirty, degenerate rat liar who stole from Donald Trump, embezzled from his employer, and committed a much more severe crime than they're accusing Donald Trump of doing. Meanwhile, Mr. Colangelo from the DOJ was sent directly by Joe Biden in order to bring this case, to figure out how to bootstrap this thing into a felony. But they haven't proven anything. Nobody can prove anything. Nothing has, trust me, nobody watches these things faster or closer than us. We try to be there with every single little piece of breaking news. We have not, we do our best to be fair here and to call balls and strikes. If you are familiar with this channel, you know that we hate the Republican Party about as much as the Democrat Party, in the sense that there are Republicans who stab us in the back. Democrats at least have the courtesy to stab us in the face. All right? And so we try to call balls and strikes as best we can. And so as we're chopping wood around here, I would tell you if they had proven in court, and we watched CNN, we watched MSNBC, if there was some bombshell in court that came out that proved there's a big underlying criminal conspiracy and Donald Trump was ordering this or that from the White House, we'd tell you there's nothing. This is by definition a clown show, and the clown car pulled up out front of the court. Seconds ago, the Biden campaign, in a move that is astonishing, because the whole point of all of this was to say that this is just the gears of the justice system at work, turning in the pursuit of clear-eyed, sober, blindfolded justice. Well, then and then the Biden campaign had nothing to do with these charges, and the Biden had nothing to do with it. Then why the hell is the Biden campaign hosting senior citizens applesauce meltdown hour out front of the Trump trial? What I mean by that is that they brought in Robert De Niro and one of the Capitol Hill police officer fabulists from January 6th in front of the courthouse to give a press conference. This is the Biden campaign organizing this? Okay. So the gloves are off. There's now no illusion that we live in a free country anymore. It really is now a psychotic, demonic power struggle between the people who have power and the people who are about to gain power over them. And Joe Biden, the man who said that we're going to demonstrate that Donald Trump will not gain power in this country, famously, not something you'd say in a free society, is now sending his surrogates to go have psychotic meltdowns in front of the court. Now, we're going to do the largest salt that lib in the history of this show. I would like for you to salt these libs. You're probably going to break your thumbnails off punching the salt buttons, but it's worth it. You ain't never seen anything like what just happened in front of the court here, ladies and gentlemen. So here we go. Live, just a few seconds before we got this show on the air, is the Biden campaign's full-on hysterical meltdown in front of the court at the Trump trial, thus proving once and for all that, one, they've got nothing, and two, they're losing, because these are clearly not the actions of winners, these are the actions of people who are in a panic. What do you do when you're in a panic? Call 80-year-old Robert De Niro to go read lines. Quite poorly. Not getting a Best Actor nomination for this one. Get ready. Salt these libs.
This is really, even these people over here are kind of, it's kind of crazy.
What is this? Why didn't we start at the beginning?
It's really crazy, and this
is the beginning?
thing, Donald Trump has created this. He should be telling them not to do this, but he's just, he wants to sow total, he wants to sow total chaos, which he's succeeding in some areas and places to do. Anyway, beside all that, this is my neighborhood, downtown New York City. I grew up here and feel at home in these streets. I feel comfortable. The Twin Towers fell just over here, just over there. This part of the city was like a ghost town. But we vowed we would not allow terrorists to change our way of life. And we started the Tribeca Festival to bring people back. I love this city. I love this city. I don't want to destroy it. Donald Trump wants to destroy not only the city, but the country, and eventually he could destroy the world. But we vowed we would not allow terrorists. I owe this city a lot. And that's why it's so weird that Donald Trump is just across the street. Because he doesn't belong in my city. I don't know where he belongs, but he certainly doesn't belong here. We New Yorkers used to tolerate him when he was just another grubby real estate hustler masquerading as a big shot, a two-bit playboy lying his way into the tabloids, pretending to be a spokesperson for himself. He was calling it as himself for himself, to fool the press into inflating his net worth. A clown. But this city is pretty accommodating. We make room for clowns. We have them all over the city. People who do crazy things in the street, we tolerate it. It's part of the city, it's part of the culture. But not a person like Trump who will eventually run the country. That does not work, and we all know that. Anyway, we make room for clowns, to each his own. But no one takes him or took him really seriously. They take him seriously now, of course. But around the country, people who didn't know him, as we did, started to support him. They bought into his bullshit. Trump bought their votes with outrageous lies and empty promises. He got the most religious evangelicals to applaud a sinner who bragged about sexual assault, and who, just a couple of blocks from here, a jury found him liable for sexual abuse. Somehow, he even got self-styled patriots to support a man who called for terminating the Constitution, and on January 6th, rallied an angry mob to threaten democracy, leaving death and destruction in its wake. That's why I needed to be involved and wanted to be involved in the new Biden-Harris ad, because it shows the violence of Trump and reminds us that he'll use violence against anyone who stands in the way of his megalomania and greed. But it's a coward's violence. You think Trump ever threw a punch himself or took one? This guy who ran and hid in the White House bunker when there were protesters outside? No way. He doesn't get blood on his hands. No, he doesn't. He directs the mob to do his dirty work for him by making a suggestion, an inference. And his gang grovels and follows his obvious order. It's no surprise that the murder rate and other violent crimes peaked under Trump and falling under Biden. And now he's promising to use our own military to attack U.S. citizens. That's the tyrant. That's the tyrant he's telling us he'll be. And believe me, he means it. When Trump ran in 2016, it was like a joke. This buffoon running for president. No, it never could happen. We'd forgotten the lessons of history that showed us other clowns who weren't taken seriously until they became vicious dictators. With Trump, we have a second chance. And no one is laughing now. This is the time to stop him by voting him out once and for all. We don't want to wake up after the election saying, what, again? My God, what the hell have we done? We can't have that happen again. Yesterday was Memorial Day. It's a good time to reflect on how Americans fought and died so that we may enjoy the freedoms guaranteed to us by a democratic government. A government that, as President Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Under Trump, this kind of government will perish from the earth. I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave. What does that mean? Is that the country we want to live in? Do we want him running this country and saying, I'm not leaving, I'm dictator for life? I hope this new ad campaign reaches outside the bubble to remind supporters of what a danger he is to our lives. This is not a threat. This is a reality. And that's why I've joined the Biden-Harris campaign, because the only way to preserve our freedoms and hold on to our humanity is to vote for Joe Biden for president. Really. We don't have a choice. On January 6th, while Republican lawmakers despicably tried to keep the loser Trump, in the White House, and Trump-inspired insurrectionists stormed the Capitol, brave men and women from law enforcement put their lives on the line to defend this country. Our democracy. They are the true heroes. These guys are the true heroes. They stood and put their lives on the line for these lowlives, for Trump.
The car alarm.
They lied under oath. Who lied under oath? What are you telling me? Excuse me? They lied under oath? What are you saying?
This is amazing.
They're traitors. I don't know. I don't even know how to deal with you, my friend. I don't even know how to deal with you. They stood there. They didn't have to. And there were other ones in there who probably were in with them a little bit too, and they found a way to get around. Not these guys. They stood there and fought for us.
No,
for
they
you.
didn't.
For you.
The alarm going off.
No, they fought for you, buddy. You're able to stand right here now. They are the true heroes. I'm honored to be with these two heroes today, from former Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn and former Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone.
Oh, man. These guys did lie under oath.
I came here today to remind Americans of what Donald Trump is capable of and the violence that he unleashed on all Americans on January 6, 2021.
Car alarm for vice president.
I was a D.C. police officer serving the citizens of the District of Columbia primarily working in narcotics. On January 6, 2021, I heard distress calls coming from fellow police officers on the Capitol as thousands of Trump supporters rushed them and brutally assaulted members of law enforcement. That day, I, like many hundreds of other DC police officers, put on a uniform and responded to the Capitol to assist our brothers and sisters in law enforcement, defending the Capitol from a violent, armed mob of Trump's supporters. These supporters were fueled by Trump's lies and the lies of his surrogates, lies that the 2020 election was stolen.
Dude, you lied under oath to Congress. You should be in prison.
Those same lies have been spewed by Donald Trump and his surrogates about what happened to me and so many other police officers on January 6, 2021. That day, I was brutally assaulted. I was pulled from the police line by a man named Albuquerque Head, a Trump supporter who later pled guilty to his violent assault on me. While being restrained by the violent mob, I was beaten. An individual named Kyle Young tried to strip me of my firearm, while chants of kill him with his own gun were echoed by other members of the crowd. At that time, Thomas Civic, a man from Buffalo, New York, stripped me of my badge and my police radio, my lifeline to call for help from other officers. All the while, I continued to be beaten and then struck with a taser on my neck by Daniel Rodriguez, another Trump supporter who also pled guilty to his violent assault on me. All four of these individuals are self-admitted Trump supporters. All four of them committed violent assault on law enforcement. I'm just one representative of the hundreds of police officers that were assaulted that day by Donald Trump supporters, inspired by his lies.
Now do BLM and Antifa, jackwagon.
The lies that
now do BLM and
to
Antifa.
this day to inspire my fellow Americans to turn against their fellow Americans, to turn against police officers.
This guy is a proven perjurer and liar to Congress. He lied under oath.
At the end of the day, this election is about Donald Trump and his vision.
Can barely speak, so I think we're going to
cut. The President of the United States.
Yeah,
not as a public servant.
Okay. All right. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to go watch the entire thing. The De Niro meltdown is what's making all the news, and also car alarm for VP 2024. Trump car alarm. Can we put car alarm on the campaign team? We would very much love that. The Donald Trump team, speaking of, had a rebuttal right afterwards. Now, first off, I want to get to Donald Trump's Truth Social about this. Alex, can you bump that in the script? Let's go ahead and I want to get Donald Trump commented immediately on this, and I want to obviously show you the president's response, because this is going to be particularly savage. The De Niro thing was really embarrassing and really cringy. What a fall from grace, man. Like, what do they do to these Hollywood actors? It's pretty sad. You see the guy, like, he's not with it. He's broken. Also, Robert De Niro is 5'8". Did you know that? Very teeny little man. Very teeny little man. Okay, so here we go. The Donald Trump 2024 media advisory. Trump campaign allies respond to Crooked Joe's minions. Yeah. Today, immediately following Crooked Joe's minions campaign to feature low IQ Robert De Niro, President Trump allies will respond outside of the courthouse, proving once and for all the Biden team is a politically motivated witch hunt. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and have a listen in to the Trump team. Here we go. And boy, that De Niro meltdown is one for the ages. All right, here we go. Trump team responding. Some of our dear friends, actually, some people you'll recognize here. Caroline Levitt, Jason Miller, Stephen Chung.
Miller with the Trump campaign, here with Caroline Levitt and Stephen Chung. So the Biden folks have finally done it. After months of saying that politics had nothing to do with this trial, they showed up and made a campaign event out of a Lower Manhattan trial day for President Trump. In fact, Biden's cronies had a printed out campaign sign saying Biden-Harris. So why the change? Why is Joe Biden now making this a campaign event after months of weaponizing the legal system against President Trump? Because Joe Biden's numbers are in the tank. The headline for today in Politico very simply said, Dems in freakout over Joe Biden. Joe Biden is losing nationally, is losing in every single battleground state, and President Trump's numbers continue to rise. And the best that Biden can do is roll out a washed-up actor. And don't worry, my remarks will be shorter than the Irishman. I won't make you suffer for 3 hours. But the best they can do is roll out a washed-up actor. Last week, President Trump spoke in the Bronx, where he had over 25,000 people show up to rally around him. And the best the Biden campaign could do was put out a web video with Robert De Niro. There is nothing behind the Biden campaign. Their numbers are in the toilet. Kamala Harris is a terrible alternative, and it's all an attempt to try to turn around the Biden campaign. Now, what's happening here in Manhattan? We're in closing arguments for the Biden trial. We've been here for 6 weeks. Nobody has said that President Trump did anything wrong. We have a highly conflicted judge with an unconstitutional gag order, and everybody sees this case for what it is. In fact, the New York Post this morning, with the headline for Jonathan Turley, as Trump trial comes to close, DA's flimsy case is nothing to brag about. Everybody knows this case is complete garbage. President Trump did nothing wrong. This is all politics. If you don't think this is politics, then why do the Democrats wheel out a retread like Robert De Niro to try to change the subject? You could see the look on the Biden campaign staffers' faces. They knew this was a bad idea. They didn't want to be here. But somebody at Central Command told them that everything is going down the tubes for Joe Biden. And I hand it over now to Caroline Levitt.
Nice.
What you just heard from is a desperate and failing and pathetic campaign who knows that they are losing. Joe Biden's sending his campaign outside of this criminal courthouse. It is a full-blown concession that this trial is a witch hunt that comes from the top, comes from Joe Biden, and he is using a far-left district attorney in this city, Alvin Bragg. This case would have been laughed out of any other courtroom in America. Legal scholars on both sides of the aisle, even liberal legal scholars, agree there is no crime, there is no case. But Joe Biden knew he could use Alvin Bragg, who is sitting in that courthouse today, wasting away the tax dollars of the hardworking people of this city, to go after Joe Biden's political opposition. And the man overseeing this case is a corrupt and highly partisan and crooked judge who is highly conflicted for reasons that President Trump can't even talk about, because this judge imposed an unconstitutional gag order on the former president of the United States and the leading frontrunner in this election. This is a disgrace. President Trump has been locked up in that courtroom for 6 weeks. But guess what? The American people see through this witch hunt and this scam. And that's why President Trump continues to rise in the polls. That's why he pulls a crowd of more than 25,000 in the deep blue Bronx. That's why he pulls a crowd of more than 100,000 in deep blue New Jersey. Everywhere he goes, everyday Americans, not elitist, out-of-touch Hollywood actors like Robert De Niro, who have no idea the real problems that people in this city and across this country are facing. President Trump is backed by the hardworking men and women of this country, and I could not help but laugh when Joe Biden's spokesperson actually came out here and accused President Trump of being the threat to democracy. Joe Biden is the real threat to democracy. He is weaponizing our justice system. Look at all of you. This is a communist show trial. There are real problems in America, and you are all out here covering this because Joe Biden is weak, he's pathetic, he's a threat to democracy, not only with this weaponization of our justice system, but with his wide open border invasion that is allowing a mass invasion of illegal people into this country. Terrorists, criminals, our economy is in shambles. We are heading towards World War III. Those are the issues real Americans care about. That is why President Trump is going to win this election, and ultimately he will be vindicated of this sham crooked trial because he has the truth on his side and he is an innocent man. And here's my colleague, Stephen Chung.
Make no mistake, this is election interference of the highest order. Crooked Joe Biden and his campaign are in complete freak-out mode, and that's why they've gone back on the word, and now they've gone in bed with a highly conflicted judge, and now they're making a political mockery of this entire thing. The fact remains that President Trump will overcome. He will fight these charges up and down, and there's nothing to stop the truth from coming out. Thank you.
Wait, so,
Thank you, everybody. President Trump will speak to the courthouse media when the court adjourns at approximately 4:30. Thank you.
Wow. Okay, so what you're telling me is that the Hollywood actor whose entire life is being an adult pretender and reading lines that somebody else wrote for him on a piece of paper, that's all Robert De Niro has done. Be an adult pretender and get little golden statues from Mulock on stage. And then do things like F Trump, right? Remember that one? Yeah. So the Trump campaign, with like a crack group of just their basic surrogates, could do a better job than Robert De Niro, the paid professional, celebrated adult pretender who's been an adult pretender his entire life. I didn't see any notes there, by the way. Robert De Niro had these, like, can we get that photo? There's like a photo of Robert De Niro's like the sheet that he had printed off, size like 205 font on there. So it's super humiliating. So Robert De Niro has this meltdown, and the Trump campaign comes out and just clowns him, calls him low IQ. It's so good. Also, this is the guy. So I gotta like think about the framing here. So Robert De Niro is somebody who is a pretentious, elitist, left-wing, Hollywood adult pretender, pretty much the icon of a decaying, destroyed Hollywood that nobody cares about or watches anymore. Every movie bombs because people can't stand these Hollywood actors coming out and preaching to the rest of us who have to pay $4 gas and have crippling grocery bills and can't afford a mortgage, can't afford our houses. And you have Robert De Niro, who hasn't done a day of work in his entire life, has lived inside of a elitist bubble, elitist left-wing, hyper-partisan bubble, and he's your best surrogate. He's the guy that's going to come out and like convince union workers or suburban moms that Joe Biden cares about them, or like has them on his mind. Like, this is the guy you trot out. This guy here, Meme Master Jerry has created on the fly a quick Robert De Niro takeaway, and here is the summary of Robert De Niro's comments at the microphone just moments ago. Here we go.
You're still not well, as you can see.
Everybody knows you don't go full De Niro.
Well done, Jerry. Yeah, okay. That's the best they got. Okay, great. You know, it's like shadow boxing. It's so embarrassing. These people are so embarrassing, and I just want to thank our production team for like snapping all of these things up in such quick order. There's not a single program that is more on it than this program. We just say thank you. We say thank you. We will be there with the breaking news. We will be there. It's always gonna be a little messy, right? Because we're cooking in the kitchen. But here we go. It's all happening live, and it's all happening right now. Something that happened previously. Somebody who would just clown Robert De Niro. One, because I think she's taller than Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro is a very short 5'8", big tough guy there. Robert De Niro also having a meltdown panic attack, and incapable of reading his lines or like responding to a single reporter's question. Here's Alina Habba on the other side, ladies and gentlemen, defending Donald Trump. And of course, you know, we're big fans of Alina Habba on this program. Take it away.
read on the case, but also your read on the instructions that are going to be given to the jury.
The instructions we've been going back and forth with are going to be finally tweaked. The concern with the instructions, which is frankly the most critical part, they have no facts. Let's be clear. I sat through this trial, and, you know, I would tell you if I was concerned on factual basis. But as I've said, and I'm not speaking now to posture for the president, but just generally as an attorney, as an American who understands the law and how to apply laws to facts, there are no facts that support this alleged crime. We're not even sure what the crime is. So it's a books and records issue. We have to make sure that the jury charges that Judge Merchan, who, again, we have said is severely conflicted for reasons that I can't speak to because of the unconstitutional gag order. But this judge is the judge that determines the jury instructions. The jury instructions are the roadmap for non-attorneys and jurors to follow the law. It's going to be critical, and frankly, at this point, I have zero confidence in the fact that this person, who should not be sitting on the bench right now, will do the right thing and give jury instructions that are in an appropriate manner without any persuasion towards the prosecution.
So Alina Habba making effectively the points that we made earlier in the show, which is that they haven't proven any crime. It's an interesting thing, but like the way that this works is there are statutes of limitations for the vast majority of crimes. There are statutes of limitations. Perhaps you saw P. Diddy, right? Diddy, like being horribly abusive and obviously committing a ton of crimes against some old girlfriend. The LA Police Department is there like saying, we can't charge him because there's a statute of limitations. That's why they released the video now. Of course, who was president in 2016 when that video came out? And don't ask yourself too many questions. Who was sworn into office in 2017? Who was president the entire year of 2016? I can't remember. Somebody's going to have to help me jog my memory. But P. Diddy never caught a case because it's outside the statute of limitations. Donald Trump, to bring this case, which is outside the statute of limitations, they have to bootstrap it into a larger federal felony. Where's the crime? Nobody knows. In fact, what many in the Trump surrogates are explaining is that the actual criminals are on the other side of the bench. The judge, the prosecution here, Alvin Bragg's office, and they need to be investigated, as some members of Congress are doing, Alina Habba explains.
Expert Alan Dershowitz, he called Judge Merchan tyrant. And now we have Elise Stefanik, Congresswoman from New York, who has filed an ethics complaint against the judge, claiming that he is conflicted because of his daughter who works for the Democrat Party. You might think this, again, who your family works for, not a big deal if you have a judge that's fair in the case. But when we see the politics of this case, it does beg the question and the appropriateness of Elise Stefanik filing the ethics complaint against this judge.
I think there was, and I can't speak specifically to it, I'll only speak generally because of the gag, but there was financial motivation there. That's more critically important. There can't be financial motivation in donations. Look it up, but that's the key issue here. So he 100% should have recused. We're past that point. At this point, that's a good issue for an appeal because the judge refused to recuse himself.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Again, the closing arguments are taking place right now in court. Now, what's quite interesting is you'll say, oh, Benny, you cherry pick. You go to Trump's lawyer. We love Alina, but she's on Fox News. You're going to go with somebody who like clearly supports Trump and is on his team. They're going to have a particularly biased opinion. Okay, fine. Let's widen the net here. Andy McCarthy, who is somebody who doesn't like Trump, who is like a never Trumper, but also a legal expert who's worked in the Attorney General's office, saying that on its face, this case should be thrown out, and everybody who brought the case should face legal penalties. Here we go.
Politico says this, to find Trump guilty of a felony level falsification of business documents, the jury must unanimously find that Trump falsified the documents in order to commit or conceal a separate crime. But the jurors do not have to agree on what that separate crime was, according to the way the judge ruled. So, Andy, I'm not sure that I fully understood an articulation from the prosecution about what that underlying crime is.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. You know, your question before, Shannon, about the jury instructions, I agree with Trey that, very often they're very dense to follow, but usually it's not a problem because by the time you get to the end of the case, everybody knows what has to be proved and what the jury's going to be told. Here, we finally get something in the way of telling us exactly what the charge is at the end of the case. We really still don't have a copy of the jury instructions, but the notion that the jury can convict by agreeing to various items on a menu and they don't have to be unanimous about what that last item is, which we think is some variation of a federal campaign finance violation, which, by the way, Bragg doesn't have authority to enforce. But I think the notion that they don't have to be unanimous on that is, that may be the 12th reason why this case should be thrown out.
So, again, we've played the clips of CNN. We played the clips of MSNBC being incapable of defending this case. Now, ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, we're going to be joined by a wonderful member of Congress from Texas, who we very much appreciate on this program, the great Wesley Hunt. But quickly, I would like to get to two of the VP contenders for Donald Trump. What you're noticing, and if you look closely, you could just see who's going to be the vice president for Donald Trump. Those are the people who are being brought on television during the weekend shows to be surrogates for Trump. That group of people is including, but not limited to, J.D. Vance, Tim Scott, some people saying Tulsi Gabbard. There's a big Tulsi Gabbard sort of wave that people rode this past weekend. You see Vivek being booked all the time. We're big fans of Vivek. And, well, Marco Rubio. And so, as you watch sort of the carousel of surrogates walk out and give their defenses of Donald Trump, we decided to pick some of the best that we saw this past weekend. J.D. Vance taking the cake here. J.D. Vance, very smart, intelligent senator from Ohio, whom many believe is a favorite to be vice president for Donald Trump. You'd have two big-time populists on the ticket there. J.D.'s defense of Donald Trump is saying, well, now it's finally proven. It's finally proven. This is all comes from the Biden DOJ, and there's going to be consequences when we get power again. Watch.
Every single ruling, it seems like the judge, who of course was a Biden-Harris campaign donor, Larry, we have to remember that, has clearly shown a bias against Donald Trump. And I think it's come at the expense not just of Donald Trump, but the cause of justice. Larry, Democrat or Republican, Biden voter or Trump voter, we cannot accept this principle that the president of the United States and the Democrats get to try to jail their political opponents. This is not okay. And if we allow this to continue, Larry, we're going to wake up in a third world banana republic. That's why we need to fight back against it, whatever our politics.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Scott taking it also, taking the baton from J.D. Vance in the Senate. Again, you don't have to like the picks. We certainly have our favorites, but the Veep stakes are hot and are running quite hot right now. Donald Trump has said he's going to make a decision at the RNC convention effectively. So that's in 60 days, right? RNC convention is roughly in 60 days, 50 days. 30 days before Donald Trump and Joe Biden meet on a debate stage. Do you know that? Like from this moment, right now, 30 days away, Joe Biden versus Donald Trump on the debate stage. Wild times we're living in. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Tim Scott doing his best defense of Donald Trump. Again, the Veep stakes, hot and heavy. Let's go.
Closing arguments in the criminal trial in New York. They are set for Tuesday. The jury could deliver a verdict later this week on 34 felony charges. I know you've criticized the prosecutors and the judge, but this case will ultimately be decided by 12 ordinary citizens. Do you have faith that the jury is going to deliver a fair verdict?
Well, there's no crime, so I assume that they will actually find him innocent. The only person guilty in that courtroom is D.A. Bragg, guilty of corrupting the justice system, guilty of not doing his job, and guilty of trying to frame an innocent man. It's really the two-tier justice system that has so many Americans concerned about fairness in our country.
Ladies and gentlemen, somebody who's talked about that two-tier justice system a lot on this program, somebody who is, I mean, we'd cast our vote for vice president, the great firebrand, man with a literal firebrand who is Coming in hot from the state of Texas, the great Wesley Hunt joins the program now. I don't know if you've ever branded any cattle. I have no idea. I'm not sure. I know you've flown helicopters. I know you've served in our military. I don't know if you've ever branded cattle. This is just like a thought. He's from Texas, probably. So like their birthright, right?
No, I mean, I haven't branded cattle, but I've branded a few terrorists. You know, that counts for something.
Okay. There's a clip. So maybe you could brand or explain to me exactly what happened with the Biden brand this morning in front of the courthouse. So here is a photo of Robert Niro with these giant printed off notes that, as far as we can tell, is size like 207 font, bigger than Joe Biden note cards.
Right.
Robert De Niro, who's 80 years old, defending his 81-year-old pal, Joe Biden, and not doing a great job. Having what looked like suffering effectively like a senior moment and a panic attack out front of the court. And I guess, I don't know if you've seen the clip or not. It's all over social media. Your thoughts, Congressman?
So we're talking about Robert De Niro here. This is the guy that played in Casino. This is the guy that played in Goodfellas. This is the guy that played in Godfather, one of my all-time favorite movies. This guy has played in Alpha Male, and now he has all of a sudden turned into a beta squish liberal, which makes absolutely no sense to me. This goes back to even he's the Attitude Era of WWE, talking about lay the smack it down on your candy asses, and then he comes out and then backs the biggest beta of all in Joe Biden. So look, these celebrities are talking, but nobody cares and nobody's listening to what they are saying. And you know this is true because you're seeing a spike in the polls every single week that this sham trial continues to go on. And if anybody's paying attention, we also know that this would have been thrown out immediately if this were a regular person that was not the former president, that is the nominee for the Republican Party, that's going to be the 47th president. And then after Cohen's ridiculous testimony, this should have been thrown out weeks ago, and everybody knows it. I'm not confident that this jury is going to get this right. But what I am confident is that in the court of public opinion, when you see guys like Robert De Niro and these liberal latte California Hollywood liberals coming out in favor of Joe Biden, and they're completely out of touch with middle America, it's actually very good for us. I hate seeing DJT stuck in court. They're doing this on purpose to keep him off the campaign trail. But guess what? He's still on the campaign trail. Do you know in 48 hours last week, President Trump was in my district all day. Then he gets on this plane and flies to the Bronx and gives a rally there. And then we see him a couple of days ago speaking to libertarians. This guy is a political force of nature, and he cannot be stopped. But what we do know is that the DOJ has been weaponized against him. We are watching the Biden administration literally use the DOJ against a former president and future president. And this is exactly what we need to be seeing every day so we can vote accordingly here in November.
Yeah, you brought up such a great point there, Congressman. Yeah, if you're going to make a political play, and that's what shockingly the Biden campaign is doing. I thought this didn't have anything to do with the Biden campaign, right? Like, but here they are throwing press conferences, and Joe Biden's going to do something from the White House, apparently,
right?
Later this week.
Right.
So now they're just like Leroy Jenkins, right? They're just Kool-Aid man straight into it.
Yeah, right.
But if you're going to do that, at the very least, you should pick somebody that isn't an adult pretender like an aging adult pretender who hasn't lived, I don't know what Robert De Niro's net worth is, but I assume it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
A lot.
Like he's 5'8", okay? So he's really short. And he plays a tough guy on TV, but in real life, he's totally soy. Yeah. And I wonder about that. You have a lot of people sounding off online saying, is this really, this is really the voice of the campaign? This is the guy that you wish to put up with high inflation, with prices that are crippling the American family, like a guy with no legal background or expertise. Like, this is who you're choosing to be your messenger? Like, maybe Lady Gaga was better
It would have been. At least that would make more sense. And then also, do you see the ad with Mark Hamill? It's kind of sad. Like we're talking about Luke Skywalker. Like Luke Skywalker used to fillet people with a lightsaber, and then he's backing Joe Biden. I mean, this doesn't make any sense. It's like Santa Claus is real for us. Like all of our alpha young guys that we're like wanted to emulate and be like have now turned into like these guys that are just weak squishes. And now I have to like watch Star Wars, and now I see his face. I got to fast forward through Luke Skywalker. It's highly disappointing, you know. But I think this is what it means by watching the Hollywood elites that are completely out of touch with what we as everyday Americans want to see. That's why President Trump is up in every single swing state. He's up against independents in every single swing state because we know better. And we also know that we cannot have 4 more years of Joe Biden. Now, Benny, you know I'm a West Point grad, and last week was the West Point graduation, and Joe Biden gave the commencement speech. And, you know, my brother, sister, and I all graduated from West Point. So I would consider myself to be an expert. I'm like the commencement speech expert. I've seen quite a few. It was the most abysmal West Point speech that I have ever seen in my life. It was embarrassing. He's at the United States Military Academy talking about his appointment, which was a lie, to the Naval Academy, as if West Point grads want to hear about the Navy. And then he talks about him wanting to play against Roger Staubach and be his receiver in this whole story. It's like this guy clearly has no idea what he's doing, and he has no idea what he is talking about. And you look at that juxtaposition to President Trump getting on his plane and doing rally after rally after rally after rally while being dragged back in court. And then he's being castigated by Niro and Mark Hamill. This is so much better than TV. Like, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. This is a real live reality TV show that's only going to benefit us in November. The contrast is not going to be any more clear in 30 days in that debate. And even though they're going to try to tie President Trump's hands behind his back, we're going to see it over and over again. Joe Biden for 3 minutes is going to just completely fall and trip and fall over his own words. And President Trump is going to rock and roll that debate all day, every day, in spite of the unfair, stupid questions they're going to ask him. And this is why the fight for this nation is right at our fingertips. And we only have a couple more months to get this done, brother.
Real quickly here, they're finding little baggies of cocaine all over D.C. One was just found in the Capitol. Yeah. You know, there seems to be a very, very positive correlation between Joe Biden needing stimulants to give a speech and little baggies of cocaine found all over Washington. Do you think that Joe Biden should be required to take a drug test before this debate?
Of course he should, and we all know why. This goes back to you bring up a very good point, Benny. This is cocaine was found in the White House. Cocaine. As if Tony Montana lives there. Cocaine was found in the White House. Could you imagine what would happen if cocaine was found in President Trump's White House? I mean, that's an insane thought. They're finding baggies of cocaine all over the place, and then all of a sudden we don't know whose it is, even though the baggie of cocaine had Hunter Biden's name on the actual baggie, and they still don't know who it's for. It's actually pretty ridiculous. For Hunter Biden. Look, the fact that we can even imagine that Joe Biden is not on some kind of stimulant every time he gives up and gives a speech across the nation is ridiculous. We should absolutely require a drug test. We should absolutely, and President Trump, DJT told him that. How about we have a drug test? They're not going to take him up on it, but eventually we're going to find out in that debate that the cocaine and the stimulant or whatever he's on is going to wear off in about 35 minutes. And you're going to see a precipitous fall off in his performance at the 35-minute mark. And as the sun goes down and as the stimulants wear off, you are going to start seeing the real contrast and seeing who the real senile, cognitively declined Joe Biden really is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really one for drugs, but I was in a fraternity in college, and I know what's going on. When somebody tries to give a speech and their pupils are completely dilated black,
why are your
just like this,
the size of like a full moon, bro?
bro, why are you not blinking? That's a little strange. Those humans typically don't go for minutes on end without blinking, but
no.
Yeah. Who are we? Who are we to judge? Okay, so I did want you to judge something, Congressman, and we didn't. I know you'll have an opportunity to sound off on this Bronx rally. This was unbelievable last week, and it's amazing how quick time passes, because it feels like it was a long time ago. Then it's like Donald Trump is breaking every conceivable barrier. CNN, MSNBC having to admit total defeat. They sent reporters there. They tried to troll Trump supporters. They're like, this is real. This was real support inside of the Bronx, which has probably one of the most diverse regions in the entire country, majority Hispanic and Black. And you looked around and you're like, Donald, this is populism. This is just like a man who represents all Americans showing up. And it was really remarkable. I didn't know that Trump was in your district. Maybe you were meeting with him. Could you illuminate that sort of 24 hours for us and your sort of take on the Bronx rally?
So it's really funny when I met with DJT while he was in Houston. He goes, Wesley, I'm going to go to the Bronx. Wish me luck. I said, Mr. President, you don't need luck. You don't need luck. He knows what he's doing. We have to go fish where the actual fish are. This is a very interesting time in this country because guess what? Every single state is up for grabs. Yes, every single state is winnable. And he is going to Minnesota. He is going to New York. He's going to places where traditionally for the last 20 years, Republicans have not been able to go. And you know why he's doing it? Because he's listening to the Vox Populi. He's listening to the voice of the people. And what he is seeing is this rise in everybody hates what's happening at the border. Everyone hates high taxes. Everybody wants to be safer. Nobody wants to be on the verge of World War III. It doesn't matter what you look like, race, religion, color, or creed. Black issues, Hispanic issues are American issues. And President Trump is taking the fight to America. That's it. And I love the fact that people are responding to him in the manner in which they are, because we have a clear contrast. One of the few times in the history of this country, we have had 4 years of President Trump. We have had 4 years of Joe Biden. And now we get to see them head to head in a rubber match. And looking at these crowds and looking at where he's going and the diversity and the groundswell of the Vox Populi, Benny, this is magic. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life, brother. Like, the people are actually responding to this thing. And MSLSD, I mean NBC and the Communist News Network, they don't know how to square this up. They don't know what to say because they've never seen it. So my guess is President Trump is going to keep this up. What we saw in the Bronx, and my boy Byron Donald was actually up there too, speaking to the crowd with DJT. Man, I am very excited for what we're going to see here in the future. And I've never seen a guy like DJT continue to take the fight to the people, speaking to libertarians, going to the Bronx, going to Minnesota, flying around the country and going bravely where no Republican has gone before, especially in the last couple of decades. It's remarkable to see. And that's why, again, for the third time I've said this on your show, brother, November is going to look very good for us. Yeah. Okay. So give us kind of that step forward. Like, we see the debates coming up in the calendar. Our GOP convention is going to come up in the calendar. Are you going to be speaking? Do you have any favorites for vice president? Trump says he's going to pick vice president at the GOP convention. What are you hearing, Congressman? So I think as of right now, I think I do have a slot speaking at the convention. We'll see for sure. We'll get that verified. But in terms of who President Trump is going to pick for his vice president, DJT. Nobody knows but him. This is all speculation. I love watching this. Like each week that goes by, you start seeing the slate of names, and I think he has an idea on what direction that he's going to go in. But two things that I've known about him: he's going to make this pick when he wants to make it, and nobody tells the boss what to do. That's just it. What I do know is this: whoever his VP pick is, doesn't matter. This is about Donald Trump being our future president, and on day one, signing as many executive orders as necessary to get this country back on track. And I think that needs to be the focus. Let's get him out of court. Let's stop the weaponization of the DOJ against him. Let's get him back on the campaign trail. Let's get to this debate with Joe Biden where he's going to absolutely destroy him. Let's get to the convention, and then let's get to November. And if we as a party can focus on these things, who his VP pick is, who his cabinet's pick is, let him take care of that on his time. Let's galvanize around this guy as a party like yesterday to get him back in office, and everything else would take care of itself, Benny.
I think we're going to start hunt mentum on this program. You can't stop us. You can't stop us. Sorry, Congressman. You have no power here. We're going to start Wesley Hunt
You can't
mentum.
stop him. You can only hope to contain him.
The dark horse, you didn't know it. And here's why. Here's why. And I'll tell you. Here's why. Just between you and me and the 50,000 people watching right now. I need you to debate Kamala Harris.
So Benny,
because that is must see. That will be the most watched. That will be the most watched and anticipated moment in potentially political history. You versus Kamala Harris. We need it.
Benny, I had a air assault instructor when I went to air assault school, and this guy was a pretty tough guy. And he said, Cadet Hunt, this was at West Point. Cadet Hunt, I don't make threats, but I keep promises. The idea of me having the opportunity to debate Kamala Harris is something that would be probably one of the greatest moments of my entire life. She would have absolutely no argument to make against me. This is the worst vice president that we have seen in the history of this country. She has the lowest approval rating of any vice president in the history of this country. And while Dick Cheney was vice president, he shot somebody. And thank God it was birdshot and not buckshot. But literally, he shot his friend in the face, and she's doing worse than he is. So the idea of me having the opportunity to debate this person would be, I mean, outside of graduating from West Point and outside of serving my country and outside of marrying my beautiful wife and having children, it would definitely be one of the top 5 moments of my life to absolutely embarrass this person on national television.
Finally, we have an optimistic show. You're a very optimistic guy. Love having you on the program, Congressman. Yeah. This does smack of desperation. If you look at the moves tactically in politics, given the news this morning, bringing out Robert De Niro, bringing out bringing out this like clown car in front of the court, Joe Biden giving a speech from the White House. Dude, like the mask's off, right? The mask's completely off. And it does smack the debate. All of it seems like panic mode. Is that what you're hearing in D.C.?
Absolutely. It is the canary in the coal mine. And the canary in the coal mine is this. Black men. How does President Trump go to the Bronx and then get that kind of support? It's Black men, Hispanic women, and Hispanic men. So when you start looking at these numbers and then you tap Kamala Harris to do minority outreach of all the people, this is the woman that was made the border czar, and she can't even identify where the border is. This is the woman that said, I am trying to find the root causes of what's going on with the border, when the root causes start at 1600 Pennsylvania. We all know this. This is a person that they have now tapped. You're bringing in Robert De Niro. I mean, we're talking about the real heavy hitters here. And then now you're going to put Joe Biden on TV. You're going to let him do a press conference. This guy can't even read. So at the end of the day, this reeks of desperation with 5 months left. And then also I want people to understand this. I hear this a lot. They're going to try to swap Joe Biden out at the convention. You know, he's not, newsflash, people, it's too late. This is why they're behaving like this. They are stuck with senile Joe Biden, and now they're trying to throw as much stuff against the wall to see what sticks. And they realize that no matter what they do, no matter what they throw at DJT, guess what? It ain't working. And they're going to keep on trying till the end. But at this point, when you're rolling out De Niro, I think you're accepting defeat.
Yeah, when you're rolling out De Niro, you're accepting defeat. When you're rolling out Kamala for minority outreach, it does remind us of this clip. I did, just in closing here, I'd like for you to react to Kamala Harris's hip hop party. This is supposed to attract Black men to the Democrat Party. It's a minefield here I'm putting in front of you, but maybe you can sound off here.
Happy to sound off about it. So Kamala Harris amongst Black men is an absolute joke. And it's because of photos like this. And this is the definition of her trying to culturally appropriate herself, to ingratiate herself to the community that she's done absolutely nothing for. Again, this is the same person that has locked up more Black people because of marijuana charges than any other person in the entire country. Then she became the vice president. This is the person that accused Joe Biden of being a racist on national TV during their debate. And then when offered the vice presidency, which is only polling at 1%, okay, now she's the vice president, which means that she has no scruples and she'll do anything. And then that's her dancing to, and I believe that song was Vibrant Thing by Q-Tip. She doesn't even know that. I mean, I know it because I'm like a real black dude. I can guarantee you she had absolutely no idea what song that was. And this is the White House trying to culturally appropriate herself to the black community. It's disgusting. Yeah. These people are fake. They are not real, and black men are seeing right through this. And that's why President Trump is going to get between 25 and 30% of the black male votes, because they are sick of somebody like Kamala Harris dancing the Vibrant Thing poorly, by the way, and thinking that that's how they're going to get our vote, when we really care about low taxes. We really care about our safety. We really care about border security, because black issues are American issues, and these people have failed on every front when it comes to American issues.
Yeah. Well, I mean, whew. That is the flamethrower right there. We've seen that clip. We've seen this clip too many times. It reminds me of divorced soccer mom at Chili's during 2-for-1 margarita hour, waiting on her hot pizza poppers.
Not a bad deal.
It's not a bad deal.
Not a terrible deal, Benny.
From the state of Texas, the very great Congressman Wesley Hunt. Ladies and gentlemen, head on over. Give Wesley Hunt a follow on X. Make sure that our friends are supported and that our community grows. 205,000 Americans cannot be wrong. Ladies and gentlemen, our movement will win because of congressmen like Wesley Hunt. Godspeed.
Thank you, brother. Man, thank you for having me.
Ooh, man, baby, we got some solid gold video from Donald Trump at a NASCAR event this weekend. NASCAR race, the Coca-Cola 500. And got to tell you, America is running out of celebrities to endorse Donald Trump. We'll get to that in just 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, this show brought to you by our friends at Allegiance Gold. Go gold today. Ensure that you have your earnings and your savings protected against something that inflation cannot erode. We talk a lot about the financial disaster that this country is experiencing right now. Inflation has hit everything, including fast food menus like crazy. There's like a crazy chart about how expensive fast food has gotten, up like 400 and 500% in just 4 years. This is like the real cost of inflation. And if you invest in something that is real, that is solid, that is like an actual commodity, then the price of your dollar actually just goes up with that commodity. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I encourage you to call my friends at Allegiance Gold. Don't wait. Gold is hitting all-time record highs right now. Go to protectwithbenny.com today or call 844-66-BENNY. Right now, get $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. Protectwithbenny.com today. All right, baby, let's go ahead and look at Donald Trump at the Coca-Cola 600. My apologies, I've been saying 500. Coca-Cola 600. I'll admit to you, I love NASCAR. I've been to NASCAR races, but I'm not a NASCAR super fan. To be like all cards on the table, I'm not a big sports super fan, to be quite honest with you. I watch politics. Politics is my sport. I watch politics the way a lot of people watch the NFL. You shouldn't watch the NFL, but anyway. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump flies over the Coca-Cola 600. Look at that. The plane, the flyover. Sort of reminds you of what he did my favorite Trump event, his presidency, was flying over the Indianapolis 500 in Air Force One. It's just so awesome. Here's what the flyover looked like. Absolute tour de force.
Charlotte Motor Speedway, let's hear it one more time for a match by 20.
Oh, awesome! These are the cheers that Donald Trump got at NASCAR. There's always new conspiracy theories that pop up on the left, and the new one is that NASCAR booed Donald Trump. Somebody always takes a clip and like adds audio to it, or takes a clip out of context. So let's do this once and for all. Here's how the NASCAR race greeted Trump.
USA! 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 USA!
What an incredible thing you can say. It looks like the Bronx, right? That's the last time you could say the NASCAR race looks just like the Bronx. Looks just like anywhere else. Oh, man, check this out. Richard Petty here with Donald Trump. Obviously, Richard Petty is a absolute legend in the racing NASCAR circuit, profession. The legend. I mean, the guy is everything that you could possibly be to this sport, this industry, and this culture. And here he is clapping Trump on the back, hugging him. Again, at this point, we said it. At this point, America is literally running out of celebrities to endorse Donald Trump. Now, how'd that post do on X? How'd that post do? Let's scroll down, Clyde. 3,035. Okay, great. 1 million views. Okay, fantastic. Okay, good. Rocking and rolling. So you know it's bad when CNN is having to effectively say that Donald Trump is showing up places where Joe Biden is not, making a huge difference. CNN having to admit effectively that Donald Trump is in such a commanding lead right now that, well, the salt's going to have to flow during our debate. I mean, we're going to have to rig it for Joe, right? It's like, listen to this commentary from CNN.
Look, I think going to the Libertarian Convention was smart. According to Gallup, they represent 17 to 20% of the American electorate. Maybe you shave off 8% of them. That can make a difference in a very, very tight presidential race. Regardless of the reasons, going to the Bronx, it's important. No one should be presumptive to assume that people of color are going to just vote one way purely because they're black or because they're Hispanic. That seems to be the case for my Democratic friends. And I think it's why a lot of people of color are looking at Joe Biden and they're realizing that my life is not better. When I go to the grocery store, things are expensive. The infrastructure in my surrounding community has not improved. And when I think about the future for my children, they're still in dilapidated schools where the educational system is deplorable. That's the Democratic message in my perspective. And so to have a Republican show up, whether he's being booed, jeered, whatever the case may be, he's showing up to places where Joe Biden is not, and I think that's going to make a difference.
What a clip. Who is that guy? What a clip. Did you see the look? Did you see the look on the lady's face? See the look on the lady's face when he's like, Democrats just assume that black people are going to vote for them? This country's in shambles. Our schools suck. Everything sucks for us. We've been voting Democrat for the last 60 years. What the hell? And you see like the snippy, they did the split screen. Why do white libs just assume that we're going to vote for them? Quick, get him off here! Quick, hit the button! Do the thing with the chair, with the trap door. Get him off! Quick! There's like an amazing split screen there where he's on screen. Maybe we can get it. We're gonna play Byron Donalds. Finally, Byron Donalds he's been on a hell of a tear. Byron Donalds last week opening up for Donald Trump in the Bronx. And Byron Donalds becoming one of the favorite surrogates for Donald Trump, saying effectively that Donald Trump has expanded the political map and it's never going back. And we think he's right. Byron Donalds has many people say he has a bright future. I think the reason they say that is because Byron Donalds will probably be the next governor of Florida. Here we go.
The rally in the Bronx was amazing. You had a very diverse crowd, people from the Bronx, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, black people, white people, all there supporting President Trump because they've seen the disaster that is New York City. They've seen the disaster that has come to the United States of America because of the master of disaster, Joe Biden himself, and they want Donald Trump back. I heard what my colleague said in a previous segment. This is going to be a decision. It's going to be a decision for the American people between two presidents. Who did the better job? And it is without question Donald Trump was a significantly better president on every metric. That's why he has support in the Bronx. That's why when the president went to Minnesota, he had support in Minnesota. And there's more support in a lot of blue areas that is for President Trump coming back. So we're looking at expanding the political map, not shrinking it based upon race or anything else, because that's what Joy Reid and Joe Biden and the rest of them want to do. They want to shrink the political political map based upon previous dogma and racial lines. That is not what President Trump's focus is. His focus is on all of America.
So, ladies and gentlemen, no, Alex, I know we can find it. Let's just load up the clip. Let's just load up the clip. I gotta have the split screen. I gotta have the split screen. No, it's the other angry white panelist. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's too perfect. You watch these things. You do enough time in this industry. You watch this stuff, and you just like, nope, that's the moment. That's the moment. The CNN clip. Let's load it as a play beside.
Wait, purely because they're black or because they're...
All right. Here we go. There you There you go. Go back a little bit. This is the look. This is when he says, why do Democrats just think like black people are going to vote for him, even though you guys have made our lives a shambles? You've done nothing. Look at this face. Look at the face. And he's like, why do seething, angry, white Chardonnay leftist moms from the suburbs think that black people are just going to vote the way they scream at us to? Look at the face. He's like, hit the button, quick, trapdoor. No, not good. Get Joy Reid in here, quick. Gotta get Van Jones. God. Who are these people? That guy had a great clip though. They got a very, very good clip. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are very, very excited for this week. A lot of people are like, don't, there's no hope. They're gonna find Trump guilty. It's all been rigged. Maybe, okay, maybe. We always and often say this, like maybe, okay, like it's a tough time. But if they do this, it will simply prove that they're in the kind of a lose-lose here. Because if you find Trump guilty, then you just solidify and balkanize the people who know that this is a political trial and witch hunt done by literal witches, as we have covered many times. If you acquit Donald Trump, if you acquit him, then you prove that it's a witch hunt. And that you brought this all to stop him from being on the campaign trail and to try and put your political rival in prison who's winning in every single poll. It's a really bad position for them to be in. And that's why you're watching the panic set in right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is why you're seeing the panic. And so it's been a very, very fun ride. No, let's do the Western. Let's close out with the Western meme here. We had an amazing week last week, record-breaking week. It's been incredible. This audience is growing. This community is growing. If you wish to help us grow, ladies and gentlemen, please sign up for the Benny Brigade. Go to BennyJohnson.com and sign up today. You get a chance to ask us questions for our Friday. We're working on some really cool stuff. Call-ins for the show, asking questions of our guests. It's going to be awesome. We're rolling out a bunch of new features, so we encourage you to go over there and support our independent journalism. Make sure that we can remain independent and do our show the way we want to do our show. Obviously, we love you. We're never going to sell out, but you can help us, ladies and gentlemen, stay independent. And we thank you. We thank you dearly for your support. The verse of the day. Everybody needs a little extra wisdom from Proverbs. Where there is strife, there is pride. But wisdom is found in those who take advice. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see the strife in the Biden campaign right now. You can see the pride in someone like Joe Biden saying effectively that he's going to prevent Donald Trump from becoming president. We're dealing with the forces of evil. We're fighting a spiritual battle. That's it. This is not a republic, sadly. It's not a democracy. It's a spiritual battle where evil has taken control of this great land, and we are going to rip control out of their hands, and we're going to return this place to its founding intent. And we have a bunch of very clear-eyed, steely set of new populist, America First, majority movement that is winning over people faster than they can try and rig. And so it's a really powerful and wonderful thing. And you have to accept You have to accept wisdom and advice. It's why I'm really, honestly, I'm like really, really uplifted by watching the Trump campaign in 2024. So there's so much that has changed. It's such a sharp operation now. Scott Adams said this, but I totally agree with him. It's like they've run a perfect campaign. It's been perfect. They've done everything right. And so what's left for us to do? Well, we must set our sights on saving this place. Yeah, the rise and fall of nations are important in God's eyes. Benjamin Franklin said at the Constitutional Convention that if a sparrow cannot fall from the sky without God's notice, how can a national power rise without his aid? How can a new country be formed without God's aid? That's all we need to do, is call on that and to continue to be faithful and to march forward in spite of all of this, to continue to march forward, ladies and gentlemen, into victory. And that is something that is promised to us. It's something that you can hold firm to in these uncertain times. And you can also hold firm to the fact that, well, we'll be live and we'll be rocking and we'll be ready to go. And we thank you for marching with us. It's your boy Benny. Here's a fun meme. We're going to do Western themed this week. Be blessed. See ya.
Huh? Something on your mind?
Just want to let you know you're sitting in my chair.
Is that a fact?
Yeah, it's a fact.
Well, for a man that don't go healed, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you?
No need to go healed to get the bulge on a tub like you.
Well, I'm real scared.
Damn right you're scared. Go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens.
Listen, mister, I'm getting awful tired of your...
I'm getting tired of your gas. Now jerk that pistol and go to work. I said throw down, boy. Oh! You gonna do something or just stand there and bleed? No?
Prime rib there.